Hey everybody, it's Doc. Welcome to the channel, and this is my brother Chris, and today we are doing another episode of Less Than Perfect Vehicles That We Love. Yesterday we did my brother Mark's CZ400, and today we're going to do a really special bike because this touches both Chris and my soul, because we both essentially own the same bike, literally the same bike, and had different experiences on it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to show you a similar bike because sadly, because of my fault, the original bike doesn't exist anymore. So we'll turn the camera around and we'll take a look here. All right, so here's the bike, and this is a 1972 Honda XL250 Motorsport K0, 0 meaning the first year that they were made. And this is, for all intents and purposes, the original Honda Enduro, right, Chris?
Yes.
And before this, there was the Yamaha DT1, which I think came out in the late 60s. And obviously, Honda decided that they were going to compete, and this was their offering, which surprisingly, it's a 4-stroke, and has always been kind of Honda's theme throughout the years is that they do 4-stroke enduros and now 4-stroke motocross bikes and everything else. So what's the story with this particular bike before we get into our stories about our experiences with the 1972 Honda XL250?
This particular bike was bought over eBay over a decade ago, and it was in an auto dealership during most of its lifespan, and I bought it well, except I saw a picture of it, sight unseen as far as actually driving it. But it started right away. We had to rewire the battery. But
so it was one of the few eBay purchases that actually worked
started.
out. Especially at the time, because people were getting ripped off on eBay right and left.
But it worked out great.
Ago. And then this is a really low mileage with 2,800 miles on it. A little bit of dinginess on the speedometer there. And then the one thing I noticed that on the tachometer cable, we have the nut that holds it in place is off, and that was pretty much the standard position of that when we owned our XL250. This bike's in really, really good condition. There's very little wear on the frame, very little wear on the cases. The engine, obviously roughly 250 cc's, roughly 24 horsepower when it was new. And, surprising little fact, because you've got a CRF 250, this engine is reportedly 30 pounds lighter than the CRF 250's engine. The whole bike was give or take about 288 pounds. I think that was wet, and gas capacity is about 2.5 gallons.
Yes.
So the reality was the range in it was probably about 100 miles, about 50 miles to gallon, I think. And was this one of the first bikes that had aluminum rims?
Production bike, I think, yeah.
So talking about production first, this engine also was a production first, Chris, in?
It was the first production 4-valve per cylinder motor. There were individual bikes that were in the 20s, Triumph and Indian, that made 4-valve per cylinder bikes, but this was the first one that actually was production. And
this engine actually was produced for a very long time. I mean, from 72 to 78 till the XL250S came out, which right. The XL250S was essentially my first bike. So this is just in fabulous condition. The funny thing is, this bike's 50 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing that always cracks me up is, in my brain, I'm not 61 years old. My brain, I still feel like I'm 20, when about the time this bike came out, and in my youthful mind, a 50-year-old bike is that 1918 Harley board racer that since had on display,
Sure.
and not something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this in my opinion is still one of the perfect epitomes, or the epitome of a perfect bike. Now you bought a similar XL250 brand new
Sure,
when
I
you were a
got-
teenager.
I got the senior in high school, 1972. Actually, it was kind of later in 71 because this was the first, the 72 models came out later in 71. And I drove it my senior year and pretty much for another year, but then put it away in the garage and then until you actually got it out. So
Was that after you dislocated your shoulder on it?
yeah, yes, it was. I think I retired it after my
Or did you
shoulder
not want to
dislocation.
bring that up?
I was for a movie scene. I was jumping from one over a road, basically.
And I may have footage of that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. No, I don't think I do.
So-
So now just to center back on the bike for a little bit, you know, this bike came from Oklahoma, obviously ended up in Texas for the eBay auction. It appears that it has not been licensed since 1980, and like so it was low mileage, very cool. You know, there's certain things about this era of XL250 that you see on almost every bike, and one of those is the fact that the front fender, if you ever find an unscratched front fender, that bike was taken really good care of, because that was something that almost immediately got damaged. The other part was the fact that virtually every gas tank has a dent in it, because these were double-walled gas tanks. They were very thin wall. Our bike had a big dent right here where
From
I
my
think
from
for
my
the first
knee.
day.
The
from your
first
knee.
day went around the track, put my knee into it, and I looked at it, and needlessly I was disappointed, but it was my bike, so
Well, you know, the funny part about that, you know, now knowing what we know about dentless paint removal,
yeah,
we could have probably popped it out pretty easily
sure,
had we had, you know, a glue gun.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful condition. And, you know, so my story on this bike, you know, my connection to this style of bike was when I went to motorcycle mechanic school in Phoenix in 1981. I had about a 5-mile commute, and I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money for gas. I didn't have any money to put gas in the truck, you know, even though gas is like $1 a gallon back then. And so I commuted on this bike for a full year. All across Phoenix. It was the perfect city bike. I actually rode it through the desert to school, which was out by the airport in Deer Valley. And, you know, it's just, you know, like I said, it's one of those things where I look back on this bike very fondly. And, you know, the sad part of the story is when I got home back to Iowa after school, I sold the bike to a neighbor friend. And unfortunately, he was a farmer, used it for rounding up cattle, and it just absolutely destroyed the bike. So again, this is really just an amazing, amazing motorcycle. I love this paint scheme. This was certainly the best paint scheme of all the years. And did you replace the seat cover?
No, this is original seat.
Okay, really?
Yep.
Because I think all the seat covers were
usually
split
very bad.
and torn. Yeah, so that looks amazing. And we probably won't run it today because, you know, the one thing I didn't like about this bike is it had to have some spark in it, or had to have some electricity in the battery, and otherwise it wouldn't start. And this one, like most, is not going to start for us today.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pop it out tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyways, this is an amazing bike, and I appreciate you showing it to me, Chris.
My pleasure, Andy.
Yep. You guys have a great day. We'll see you out on trail. Have a good one.
For the gas to get in there. There we go.
So we're going to give it a try anyways.
Yep. No.
Now give me that surprise look he had when he started his bike.
Not going to go.
No.